there's always going to be a hard moment, but it's like, how do you take it on? And if you take it on with grace and humility and try and find ways around the bad, then you're going to be one step ahead in the end, right? And better to serve everybody that you're serving.
Hi there. Welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to bring you a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your host, Dabney Vaccaro, clinical herbalist, health coach, lover of plants.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast. Today, it is Sabrina and Dabney. We are here today to talk to you about intention and gratitude and positive ways of thinking, mindfulness, and living your best life. So welcome.
Welcome. This is an exciting topic. I'm glad that we're kind of talking about this because I think everybody from now, time and time again, needs some positivity in their world. And a lot of people might think it's hokey, setting intentions and, doing the work for mindfulness. But you know what? When you change that, make that shift, you'll notice that things just seem to fall all into place, right, Dabney? Like things just seem
Yeah,
a little easier.
for sure. But I wonder, going back even like from the beginning, even as children, like there are some children who just have more angst and more caution, and there's others who are just more free flowing and go with the flow. And I wonder how much of how we think about things is how we are born and raised, or if it's something that we kind of learn with our own experience as we go. What are your thoughts with
Well, I've always had this thought, and I hope maybe we can get a speaker or someone to help us, like some guest appearance. But I'm always wondering, I should look into this more, but if I've noticed with people, I don't have children, but I've noticed like in general, if the woman who's pregnant with child, with child is more anxious or has had stress around them or trauma around them, I find that the child who's born through that trauma becomes has a little more problems or issues, like issues that they need to work through, maybe colicky, can't sleep at night. I feel they're a little more anxious. The parents who are at home, everything's tranquil. I feel like they're, more calm energy. It seems to transfer into the child like this calmness about them. They seem to let things go and they're a little more free flowing. So I don't know if there's something to be said about that, but I'm just wondering that there must be something connected because you're connected to that child. So whether we know food and things can affect child, obviously, but emotions probably as well, right? That's what I'm thinking might also transpire when kids are growing up.
Oh, I think you're spot on. There is something called epigenetics, and those are just the little things that kind of stick to our DNA, that is generational.
Mhm.
Um, and I think about people who have fears, and there's not really an understanding as to why this person has a fear, but yet they have this fear. But probably somewhere along their lineage and their genealogy, there was a grandparent that had a similar fear that was then just transferred through the DNA chains, called epigenetics. So I think for sure there seems to be something that is more genetically, people are genetically predisposed to some of those things. But you're right. If there is tranquil love and just a harmony in a family versus one that is a little more hostile and angry, I mean, the child picks up on that. They learn those behaviors. It becomes a part of their identity and their belief system. I believe that to be true. And I've seen it with children, for sure.
And I think, at a certain age, you start to realize like maybe like if you're in that anxious sort of hostile environment, or you've always reacted or you're reactive, I
Mhm.
think you start to realize like maybe this isn't quite right. Maybe I need to like look into this. Is this the way I'm supposed to be? Or, everybody else seems to be happy and I feel, this way. I don't know, and then you start to dive into it. And then that's how it all becomes part of, without even realizing, you start to change and you start to set those intentions because you're starting to make yourself change for the better. To adjust to everyday life issues, right? So you become less reactive.
Mhm.
And that's part of intention, positivity, mindset. And it's becoming more and more clear, and we read more and more about it every day.
Yeah. But how many people, I wonder, don't even realize that they think negatively? They just go through day in and day out as this is their normal. And we've all met them. We've all met that person who just walks in the room and they actually just suck the energy out, you know? Um, and I call them energy vampires. They just suck the energy out of whoever they're around because their negativity is just exhausting. And so having that awareness, like you said, is really key. But man, for people who don't have that awareness, like you just hope and pray that they'll be influenced by some person or just through themselves to be able to make that shift. Because at first you have to have the awareness that you're thinking negative, right? Because if you think this is normal and that the world is just terrible place to be, then it's just always going to be because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the problems, you're looking for the negativity, you're looking for issues that are going on. You're not looking for other things. So what you're looking for is what you'll find, right?
Right, exactly. And I mean, I once read a book called Dodging, I think it's called Dodging the Energy Vampire. It was like opened up a whole window for me because I could never figure out why I was always exhausted, like dealing with people, and working, in dental, like, or any job, you're always embracing every reaction, every feeling, every person's problem, like everything, right? And I'm one that would just absorb everything, And working in a dental office, as you know, we deal with a lot of people who come in a lot of times with fear and anxiety, and it's easy to
Absolutely.
take on that. And it's not their reactions and the way they speak and the words they use sometimes can be hit you hard, but it's not them, it's the fears that they have. Perhaps it's them too, but then you I found that when I started to talk to them and encourage them different ways, following appointments, they would be a little less anxious, a little more calm. And then the appointments seemed to go a lot easier. And then they were like, months or years down the road, they're like, do you remember when I used to come in and I was so anxious and I was angry and you would like, I'd ask for freezing or anesthetic. And I was like, and now I don't even need it. And I'm fine and I'm relaxed and I don't need to take medication, whatever. And I would be like, right, because they shifted that mindset and they had someone to guide them in a positive direction. And I think, as you said, you hope that the people that we face that walk into those rooms with the negative energy, we hope that they could find that person to just somehow make them click into thinking differently, just one thing. And then they would maybe it will get the ball rolling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Gosh, I see patients every week. Maybe not every day anymore, but every week there's at least a patient who comes in who has some type of dental anxiety or dental fear. And one of the things we do as hygienists is that we always check the health history. And I'm always amazed how many people are on medications that help them deal with depression and anxiety. And I read recently that depression is people who have thoughts of the past and anxiety is thoughts of the future. And so, some people struggle with both, but man, it's because we're unable to live in the moment or people are unable to live in that moment, that they're stuck in the past because of, maybe some hurts or disappointments in life that they can't seem to get themselves out of. And anxiety is like fear of the future, of what's to come. But man, you're missing out on the here and now.
Exactly. Being present, right? And, I know someone who had very hard childhood growing up, never really dealt with it, was never really felt like was accepted. And went through life like that. So every time something would come up that didn't go that person's way, it stemmed back to childhood, not feeling accepted, not feeling wanted, and not working through that root issue just keeps snowballing. And then that person puts that onto someone else. And
Right.
so that becomes an issue because then you're butting heads, right? And you can't get through to that person, realizing that the problem isn't the other person, it's that you're not having dealt with your issue. And that's why you're still in that depressive kind of negative state, right? And like you said, it's just it's hard and you feel sad because that person can't be in the moment and grateful and happy and positive because they're still dealing with something in the past. And so how the questions are probably people are our listeners are wondering like how do we get through these moments or these times and in a more so that we can feel more positivity, a healthy dose of happiness in our
Right.
world.
Right. Well, I think for people who are an empath, and for those of you who don't know what an empath is, take a moment and maybe research to see what that is. But from my understanding, an empath is someone who really absorbs the energies, emotions of another person. And we were talking about that person who comes into the room and kind of an energy suck. It can be very similar to that. So when somebody comes into the room or they're anxious or even if they're happy, like we kind of, an empath will kind of take on whatever energies that person is exuding. And so it can have a great impact on the emotions of that empath. So understanding yourself, I think, is the first key. So understanding how it is that you show up or how you deal with the energies of other people is really important. My oldest daughter is very much an empath. And so she was really struggling with jobs and working and people's energies and just felt exhausted. And so I was trying to help her work through what do you do when somebody comes into the room and they're griping and complaining, and how do you keep yourself from not getting all worked up and not all emotional because they're emotional. And so working through like, well, these are their problems and they're not your problems. And so understanding like that, almost like an invisible chrysalis that you kind of put around yourself, you have to put around those barriers to protect yourself,
Exactly.
so that those energies can kind of ricochet. And so putting yourself on the full armor before you go out into the world each day can be very helpful, even if it's just something that you do for 30 seconds before you walk into work. Just, visualize this chrysalis that you're putting on to protect your own energies. Not that you're ignoring people, but that you're understanding, you're hearing, but then tell yourself, well, this isn't my problem. Go away. I'm not absorbing this. I hear you. I understand. I will think about you, but this is not for me to absorb. I'm not taking this on myself.
Exactly. Because, and if you absorb all of that and keep taking it in, then it creates a reaction to yourself that's not you. And then
Right.
other people are like, well, what's wrong with you? And you're like, well, I just absorbed like all this energy and now I don't know what to do with it. So you have to clear it. And so I just wanted to say that the book that I have, it's by Christine Northrup.
Uh-huh.
And Christiane, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote Dodging the Energy Vampire, an empath's guide to evading relationships that drain you and restoring your health and power. And I just found this very, 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 very effective
Yeah.
because I couldn't figure out why I would always feel so drained as well. And it really changed the way that I approached things and the way that I feel now when I go into a group or a situation. And I find ways, you have to find your way. It's like you said, the barrier is a number one thing. They always say create barriers,
Mm-hmm.
um, an armor. If something's not serving you, you need to learn how to walk away from it. Find something to clear your energy. Maybe it's going outside for a walk in the fresh air and clearing it. They say there's like a special type of movement that you can do to clear the energies. Crystals help absorb energies. So these are things that you want to have in place so that you don't get affected
Yeah.
by the energies and that you can keep vibrating at your positive high
Right.
without getting sucked into that their lower vibration, because that's
Mhm.
basically what's happening is that they're like, oh, look at you, I know I can get you, and they like leech onto you and drag you down with you because you are just that person that they have, where the other people are strong. They're like, we can't get in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not going to listen. They're not going to budge. They're not going to cave into our story. And it's fine to listen. It's just, you just need to know, like you said, when is enough,
Right.
and know that it's their issue, right? It's not something of yours that you can take on, right?
Yeah. Well, and we learned in a previous podcast about, what animals do when they've had this really stressful event. I mean, and it works for people too. You just shake, just shake everything around and trying to shake off that
Yeah.
excessive of energy, or trying to get rid of those bad vibrations that have kind of leached themselves onto yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just movement, like you said.
Movement, and just and always just like, it's taken me a long time. I know personally it's taken me a long time, to not have things affect me. But like in the end, now I just really, really focus on like, hey, you know what? That's on them. That's their problem. Like you can't take it. It's okay not to take it on. If you need to distance yourself, cut some cords, leave a little string attached, but don't be fully immersed in that. That's
Mhm.
okay, because they're not gonna feel bad. Like they're not gonna come at you or feel bad about it. And you just have to know that they're gonna be okay. And you're there to support, obviously,
Right.
but
Yeah, that's the
you know
part
how to
of
support,
That's the
right?
part about coaching. Coaching is not giving them the answers. You might know what needs to be done. The coach might know the play that should be happening, but telling somebody what to do isn't going to be nearly as effective as helping them come up with their own solution, because each person has their own journey to embark. And sometimes we get impatient as coaches, as people, even our clients get really impatient because they want to hurry up and get to the finish line. They want to feel better. They want to do this, that, or the other. And so that journey is there for a reason. And it's there for us to learn and grow. And you
Exactly.
just can't push it too far ahead, because what happens is you end up being disappointed. You end up being frustrated. Um,
Mhm.
and like life is, it's a journey. It's not a, it's
Not
not just a
linear.
quick race. Yeah, it's not just a quick race that you're going to hurry up and get to the next level. Like this whole life is a journey. And some of us know from an early age, like what our purpose is in life, and can grasp onto it and do wonderful things. And there's some of us who are just late bloomers, and maybe we just need some other time, and maybe we just need a more, roundabout way to learn how to do things before we really grasp into what our journey is. And there's no wrong way. I've met people who were young and vibrant and knew exactly what they wanted to do since they were a young child. And then there's others who are 50, 60 who are just now coming into their own. And that's wonderful. We each have our own journey, and just embrace that journey, whatever it is. But I would encourage our listeners just to keep growing. Don't stay stuck.
Yeah, 100%. And if you do get stuck, we're hoping to have a guest on our show. And I've been reading her book, and one of the tasks at hand was, to write everything you're grateful for. And I know we've talked about this before, but I find that I've been doing this as practice for myself in the evenings before bed, when your mind's racing, or you just feel, gosh, I'm so exhausted from today, or nothing seemed right. Why did nothing seem right? So I go back and I go, okay, what was I grateful for today? What was amazing, And I'm like, okay, there was an accident. I was not in that accident. I hope everybody was okay. I made it to where I have to be, whatever it is, right? So that's something to be grateful for. It's not like you complain about, like, yes, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. That's okay, but somebody will understand that someone's life was at stake. And if they don't, then that's on them, right?
Right,
That's their journey.
right.
Um, right. And then like it can be as simple as having a conversation with a friend and through a computer, that we do right now. Like that's so amazing, right? So just switching around. Yes, it's raining today in where we are, but hey, we need the rain for the grass and the green, and it gives me time to do things inside because I don't have to be out in my garden today. Which will come and I'll be very busy in the garden, right? So I feel like if you start to look at it that way and shift that negativity, you're actually like, oh, my day was really productive and I actually had a great day and I've been actually sleeping really well because I've let go of anything else and just have focused on everything that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. That gratitude walk, gratitude
So,
prayer, gratitude writing, whatever it is, just even a few minutes to just on your way to work to
mhm.
think about gratitude or how before you start your day, whatever that might be, just to have some moments of gratitude. And gosh, you were able to get up out of bed today, and you're alive and you're breathing and you get to see the sunshine today because some people don't get to see and some people don't get to hear. And, just those little things that really are big, impactful moments that we just really kind of take for granted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't want to say like, your things don't matter. And if you're having a bad day, you can't, of course you have to feel those bad days because that's all part of life and not being linear and you grow from those. And that's the education. That's the lessons that
The
we learn,
growth. Yeah, that's the
right? That's
lesson.
the growth.
That's
And
the
I
lesson.
said to someone the other day, I feel like the higher being, whoever you want to believe in, will keep on sending you something
Until you
related
get it.
to until you get it and they
Until
will
you get
keep
it.
sending it and then when you finally have a different reaction and you actually go, you know what, this ain't so bad, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that isn't happening anymore, you know what I mean? And you're like, wow, like because you got it, you understood that it's really not a huge deal or whatever it was, right? So that's huge. And I think sometimes we react too quickly and sometimes we just need to stop and think, is it worth it? Well, how does it serve me? Is it kind? Is it necessary? What will be the outcome? And if I need to make it happen or I need to say something, can I say it in a way that will not be as reactive
Right.
or create a reaction,
How can I
right?
show love and compassion to this person that I'm getting ready
That's
to
right.
talk to?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
mindset. How do you
That's
going to
it.
show up? Hmm.
Yeah. And I thought that, when Dabney and I were thinking about what we should talk about today, I thought, it a healthy dose of happiness is because it's just, wanting to be positive. And I think we reinforce this in our podcast because it is so important and we drive it home because there's always something that comes our way and both our lives have had a lot of traumas and
Disappointments.
issues growing up and
Disappointments.
moments and things in our way and Dabney has children she's had to mother and everything and so it's like it
These out loud. I mean, part of it is my love language and that words of affirmation go a long way for me. But how much of that is ego, really? And that I need to have that ego stroked and I need to think that, I am this or that or the other thing. And so in morning and gratitude in my meditation and prayer, I take ego and ego is all the things that I call myself. Dabney, mom, worker, friend, daughter, mother, all those titles I give myself. And I have to put them in a basket beside me so that I can just be my soul and my innermost being. And when I'm just quiet and mindful of my just who I am in my soul, that's when things really start to speak to me and I can really show gratitude and really think about how am I, my soul, my being, my essence, how am I going to show up today in the people that I meet? Even if things just are going to go horrible, how am I going to react and be and show grace and love and peace to those around me? So for me, that's what I have to do. And I have to understand that for me, ego wants to always be loud and at the forefront and demand that certain things go certain ways, or it's just not going to be good.
so true. Life, like we said, like kind of looping around, like no expectation, just be present and, focus on what's today. Right. And we have a saying up at the lake. It says something about like, what are you going to do today to leave kind of your mark that's going to do good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you only have one day. You only have
Yeah.
today. We only know of today, right? We don't know if tomorrow will come. So what are you going to do today and this day that's good? And that really has helped, a lot in that mindset because you think like, is this a good thing that I'm doing today? And if it isn't, then I say, well, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it, or I don't want to go follow that person's energy. I'm going to
Mhm.
focus on stay in my lane and focus on what I need to focus on and for my good, and so that I can put out good, right? Today. So,
Yeah.
but
Um, yeah, one of the books I read way back when was Dr. Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention. And we'll put our books that we like, we'll put them in the show notes for any of you who would be interested in looking at them. But he really talks about the power of intention. And one of the things he talks about is harmony, peace, and positivity, and how it attracts. It's the law of attraction. And Sabrina, you and I have talked about this before, is that when you exude positive energy, you attract positive energy.
so true.
And if you exude negative energy, you're going to find negative energy. And
That
so,
cloud will be over you forever. That little rain
yeah,
cloud will be following you.
yeah. So one of the things is he writes in here about how your energies impact others. And he writes, when you feel connected and in harmony with intention, you sense a major difference in how other people react to you. Be cognizant of those reactions because they'll bear directly on your ability to fulfill your individual intentions. So
Huge.
just understanding how you show up and understanding and the reactions of the energies of the people around you have an impact on you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true because if you want to be the leader of a tribe, like not in a ego way, but if you
Mhm.
if you are positive, you're going to create positivity. Your tribe attracts your tribe, kind of you attract your tribe, right? So who do you want surrounding you? Do you want
Yeah.
positive people and positivity, or do you want negative? Because negative activity loves company, right? Like there's a saying, isn't it? There's like misery loves company.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's true.
so so
It's
it's like
true.
if that's you and you want that, like somebody like those people around you, then or those situations, that's always going to be around you. So bring yourself up a little bit and like and embrace that good energy, right?
Yeah.
Because it's important, when my husband's mother passed away, we had a lot of time to grieve because she had been sick for a while. So we were, through the process, we were doing our healing already. We had started, my husband and I. And at the funeral, after a couple of days, we were, already like positive and we were sort of, not grateful that, but we were just like in a different space. And someone came up to my husband and said, like, when are you guys going to actually come down from this and realize what just happened? And my husband said to him, we may not, we're okay. And it's okay to say my mom wouldn't have wanted all of this. My mom was okay. What her comment would have been was just go up to the lake, go to your happy place
Yeah.
because I'm okay. I'm okay now, right?
Mhm.
So we were okay. And people can't help like when there's a sad moment, they just want to be in that moment sad and they feel you should be a certain way. And I'm like, if that was on him, that was his journey, like we said before, and our journey had already evolved and it's going in a different direction. And they could like people can't understand that. So we just stuck to what we knew and we felt that it felt better about it. You know what I mean? There was no like we didn't feel like, oh well, maybe we should be sad. Maybe we should be upset, and not to say we weren't. I'm not going to say
Right.
we're not heartless, right?
Right.
We,
Right.
we had we had dealt with our feelings throughout the process, and we still have moments of sadness.
Of course.
But we sometimes snap and be like, we're like, oh, we'll see a sign, like a little sign, a bird chirps, or we're like, okay, yeah, we know, don't worry, be happy, keep going. So that's
Well,
just a
right.
situation where I'm saying like you have to set your intention, you have to lead, and you have to be okay with what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? And
Yeah. Grief isn't something you ever get over. It's just something you endure.
That's right.
And you can't go under it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You just got to go through it. And for
That's
each
right.
person, that just looks a little different. And sometimes you go through it and you have a day and you can get through day by day. Sometimes it's hour by hour and sometimes it's minute by minute, and that's okay. But I tell you,
Right.
living in the moment, the here and now, wow, that really has an impact in our
It
mental
does.
health.
And
It,
that's
it's yeah.
exactly, it's exactly it. And living in the moment, and
Mhm.
living in that moment makes a huge difference. Because if you go back and think, oh, I should have done this or should have done that, it will drive you, it will spiral you. If you could go
Yeah.
forward and think, what's to come? I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm this, then that also spirals out of control, right? And so if we just be positive and we think, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna have fun or whatever it is, like our podcast, sometimes I'm always like, oh, I used to worry or get nervous right before. But now I think, you know what? We're going to talk, we're going to do. It might not make sense. Maybe it will, I hope, to people. And I hope that somebody will get a nugget out of what we talk because our conversations are real. And that's what I think you and I want are real
Mhm.
conversations, nothing that's staged and something that people can look back and go, wow, these girls are real. They're, talking from experience and
Yeah, we
what
try to
they
be
say makes
vulnerable. Yeah,
and being
vulnerable and
vulnerable. And that's
genuine.
important. We
Mhm.
don't have that anymore. Instagram is not being now with AI and everything. You don't know who's real, who's fake, who's doing what, right? So I think
Mhm.
our conversations are real, and I hope that this helps people feel a little better about, listening in about and looking into things about being an empath, looking into things about being positive, gratitude journals, just planting seeds is
Yeah,
all we can hopefully do and
great.
expand on them with our guest speakers.
Yeah, yeah. And that power of intention, like how are you going to show up today? And even at the end of the day, when you reflect on that day, um, it's not going to be perfect because we are perfectly imperfect. We're going to mess up. It's just the way it is. But how are you going to do it differently the next day? It's just a growth opportunity. And when I have mistakes, I say, well, I had another growth opportunity today.
That's right.
Because
Of
that's just
course.
what it is. It's just an opportunity to learn something. And, the day I stop learning is the day I stop breathing. And
Exactly.
it's my intention personally to continue to grow and
Mhm.
learn and strive to help others, just support, like, you know, Sabrina, I think that you're a supporter too. Like you support people, you want to support, you want to really impact people's lives in a positive way. And we have that thread of commonality, which is why we created this content and created this time to get together to help others because we want to reach more people to be able to bring hope and joy and love and peace around us.
And positivity, right? I mean,
Positivity. Yeah.
and like I just want to say one thing and then we'll wrap it up. But when you said like each day is a new day, it's like, do you remember as a kid, I don't know, like those erase things you could shake and then
Oh
it would
yeah. Yeah.
clear,
Etch
or
a
you would
sketch.
go back and forth and it would clear. And it's kind of like that. You get like a clean slate. It's like
Mhm.
each day. So yesterday something didn't turn out. This year, how are you going to make like today? How are you going to make it like different? And it's
Yeah.
a clean slate. Maybe you don't even worry about what happened yesterday and today. You just go, okay, I'm going to start today positive and see what brings and that's it. And I think that's the great thing about life. We're borrowed, we have time, and what are we going to do positive with our time, right? Like what are we going to do with this one, I would say one precious life and make it a positive one and a good one and see where it goes, right?
Yeah. And if I leave one thing with our listeners today is when you can learn to laugh at yourself, you've gained a lot of strength.
Good one. I like that. We'll end
Mhm.
it there. It's perfect.
We'll
Give
end it
some food
there.
for thought.
Yeah. Laugh at yourself. Yeah. Okay.
All
Well, until
right.
next time.
See you soon.
Bye. How do you see the future of stone medicine evolving, especially around the context of traditional healing practices?
I will say, um, so my teacher, Jenny Ray, who is her lineage is Santi Dakota. And she was usually traditions are passed down in a family lineage from parent to child. And she was the only one in her family to take up the tradition from her father, Chaz. And she doesn't have children who are taking on the tradition. And even on Pine Ridge, where her father grew up and where she spent some of her childhood, she could not find people interested in learning this modality. And so she and a number of chiefs and elders from the Sioux Nation and also from the Nez Perce Nation, who she also studied with some Nez Perce healers. They all decided that they would give permission for this tradition to be taught to non-Native Americans and off the reservation. So I guess my hope is that this tradition survives colonization. And I hope to be part of that effort to keep it going.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you are a teacher. You do teach this at Cedar Stone, is that correct?
Cedar Stone sometimes can invite me to teach, and I can also travel and host teachings elsewhere. So, and I have not had my first training. I've assisted other people, and so I'm eager to get started. Yeah.
You have a wonderful gift to share for those who are looking for alternative ways of just living. And so if you were to leave today and wanting our audience to know what's the major takeaway of the things that you've learned and what could bring the healthy dose of happiness to our viewers, our listeners, what do you think that would be?
I'm going to steal the tidbit of the day that I heard my elder Jenny Ray give on an interview, which is a traditional teaching that she learned that is, it's stated, live in this breath. So it's similar to the statement, maybe live in the now. It's even more specific to like this very second that it will take to breathe this breath. So the teaching is instead of entertaining anxiety about tomorrow or regrets and guilt and all the things that haunt us from the past, to try to be present in this moment and the people we're with.
Charlotte, I love that. Those are such wise words, really. And if we could just think about that, wow, what a difference we can make in our own lives and just be happy and joyful.
100%.
Yeah.
And if where can we find you or more information on your teachings and your healing? Where can we?
I do have a website and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My business name is Wild Poppy Healing Arts. So I have a website under that name and Facebook under that name.
And we'll have it all in the show notes for sure. So
you can call me as well. Yeah, you can put my phone number there as well.
And do you do things on video conference? I know that the stone healing is hard to do, not in person, but can you do some healing like virtually for those of listeners that are away, not in Virginia or close to you?
I never have.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm willing to travel to do trainings if people are interested and can maybe partner with me to find a group of people and location.
Yeah. And maybe even put on a healing workshop somewhere that, is having a healing conference. I think you would be great and have a lot to share in your wisdom and your journey and your path. So you are amazing, Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I think I'm going to be calling you real soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks so much for having me. It was lovely to talk to you both.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great talking to you.
All right, folks. Well, join us next time for the Lifestyle Herbalist podcast, where you'll find a healthy dose of happiness. Bye.